from summer to summer. So the episodic part is, or the episodes would cover just the lifestyle, these lives of these kids as they're going week by week and doing different things, different activities they're involved in. And it's during the summers that is when there's military campaigns. So what I'm thinking is that this the TV show would be geared for a DVD release. DVD release would have all the episodes, probably and possibly like another just an hour of footage, either as a whole separate episode or just like all together added in. And in particular, that would just be a lot the sex and swearing and violence scenes. So that's the other thing is that you use just tricks of the camera and editing to like say, oh, there's a fight, and so you don't show the fight, but when you get the DVD, you can watch it like, oh, you can see, like, wow, that was a pretty crazy fight. And then, and throw in the sex as well. I don't like writing about sex because, why, it's understood these guys are having sex, so why write about it? But for the story, or for the TV show, for the DVD release, you throw in the sex. And, if possible, do a movie each year to come out as well. And the movie itself would be one of these epic battles, or these military campaigns that these guys participate in. Which I think would be a really strong draw. Is that and people who dug it, who got into this, and I think they would because there's a TV show called Robin Hood out of BBC. You can watch it on BBC America, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty intense. I haven't been able to watch it, and the reason why is because I want to watch it from the beginning, and then just see how it all works out. But that's the kind of style I'm thinking of. There's a group of guys, and they're doing whatever, and they realize, well, there's life and death involved in this, and they really got to keep on their toes, and really have to think and approach things in a special way. And the other aspect is that the characters, the actors, they can't rely on special effects. They can't rely on whatever to save them. They have to fight. Now when they fight and they swing the sword and the rubber sword is going to bounce off the guy's arm, but the guy's going to have to realize, oh, I have to react, and so if anything, you probably film a battle once or twice, or like 2 or 3 times, and just have the guys do things, so you'd be looking from the camera down on them, you see the group of guys amongst just a crowd of people, and they're fighting their way through, and I just think that would be intense. That'd be great, and especially if you just have like the single shots, add in the special effects, and even Chilredn of Men is proving that you just have digital cameras and you can film different things at different times, and that way you can add in the special effects and just have the characters and whoever act and react accordingly. So I just think it's possible to do and cheap. So that's why you get. That's why you get Canadian actors or whoever. I think, in an ideal world, it's Juilliard High School, or not Juilliard, but that's the college. But isn't there? There's a High School of the Arts in New York. Get that high school, and just make a deal with the kids. Like this is we're going to be filming here. Anybody who's interested, step up. And as as a series progresses, if it becomes more than one, season, freshman kids who are interested, they participate. They get in there and they, well, can you act? All right, and can you fight? And so that's what's going to happen. If they can act but they can't fight, well, then they become the background characters. The little friends that they have along the way. But if they can fight, then they get included. And you can even write in the story that, well, even sophomores and juniors and seniors, could be indoctrinated as well. But ideally, it would be freshmen. Each year, you'd see a class of freshmen. And as the series goes on, you're going to mostly be watching the seniors and how they're going to act and react and interact with each other. So that's the other thing, is that you're going to have a constantly new set of main characters, for each season. And which would kind of throw some people off, but at the same time, I think some people would really dig that because they realize, well, these guys are going to have to, some of them are going to make the same mistakes, some of them are going to learn, some of them are not going to learn. The one key advantage is that, well, because he's got magic, and in particular, they use magic the same way you use technology. So you're going to record things. You're going to, and you're going to connect with each other about things. You're going to be interconnected. So in a way, these guys have their own network, their own email system, their own text message system that they can communicate with each other on. I think, yeah, that's just the perfect, easiest way to use magic. And, always have it that, well, they're still learning magic. They're slowly improving. But ideally, really, that's all they learn. They just learn how to use magic in the same way you use technology. A lot easier to explain it and have things explained and understood. And then the fact that, well, you remove magic from the environment they're in as well. Like, there is a little magic here and there. That's something which will come in later, but it's a little heavy. It's a little hard to kind of figure out magic, in my opinion. That's why I don't like writing about it. But I think, yeah, what do you think? Do you agree with me that would make it really interesting program? It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but, a bit more reality, a bit more realistic, and way more violence. So this is probably a TV program that can only be shown on... That's the other thing. This program would probably make it on Sci Fi, but maybe even Spike TV. So that's, something to consider. And, hopefully I could get Josh Whedon as a creative influence. And then maybe even, just talk to other, guys, the other great creators and see if they'd be interested in it. So Quentin Tarantino, Rob Rodriguez, Kevin Smith, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and just say, this is my plan, this is what I'm thinking, and just ask them for their input on what they think, what they would like, but ultimately, responsibility has to rest on me and the producers. And I kind of want to say I want responsibility to rest on me. That's why I want Josh Whedon as part of the project as well, because he has some gravitas, some clout with him. Ideally, I want just it to be borderline chaotic. A little bit of there's always the element of risk of death. Some of the characters die. A character dies a year. That would be yeah, that's kind of what I want. To work out. Or if not, then a character is mortally injured. Like just really badly hurt. But that's because that's part of the drama. That's part of what's going to keep people interested. It's like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh, they're into this fight. They messed up. Oh, and I just think that would be real interesting. And I think it'd just be a very unique thing to try. So I don't know of any other place that would do it or that's done it. And I think look at all these other reality shows. You got a reality show about monks, a reality show about ultimate fighting, a reality show about bull riding. Make this kind of like a reality show for guys who are becoming mercenaries, sword fighters, but they're from high school. So you're going to watch these kids, start out as freshmen, learn, go through these battles, experience, be part of these epic struggles. 4 years later, this guy is going to be a senior. He's going to be making decisions. He's going to be responsible and in charge. The audience is home. They'll start picking out their favorites. They'll start picking out guys that they like, or they'll start noticing characters and kind of just follow it. Because even if they're not part of the main story, they're part of the background, and they're going to be doing stuff in the background, and they'll be coming into the foreground, interact, and then go back to the background. That, in my opinion, would be amazing to watch and to experience. And I just think it's that element of reality TV. So there is going to be, if two of the characters they don't like, if two of the actors don't like each other, well, you'd see that. You'd see that reflected in their character behavior, and you write that in. You can do improv, a lot of improv as well. You just you know what you want to have happen in the scene, or you have certain marks you want hit, and ideally, what's going to happen is the main character, the leader of the group, he's always going to have his agenda, and he has to try to convince everybody and make everybody work together. So occasionally he'll have, he's going to have to talk to people and make them, realize and see his,